What's going on, guys? Zach here. So today we get a two-part episode on this episode of the Landscaping Podcast. So we're talking about landscapers helping landscapers. We're also going to be talking about what to do when you fail, how to handle failure, what happens when you don't hit the mark that you've set, and basically, if you had to boil it down, what happens when you let your customer down, when they have an expectation and you miss it, because that's inevitably going to happen. It happens when you have the best of intentions. It happens when you try to do the absolute best that you can to serve others. And even when you think you got the job right, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you've got to redo it. Sometimes you got to set it up. Sometimes you've got to part ways. And so we're going to talk about that. So with those two things said, you're getting a twofer for one, even though instead of our two hosts, we've got one. And so one host, two topics. Let's dive into it. All right, so landscapers helping landscapers. What does that mean? A lot of times people will see like, oh, you work for this company, so you must be against that company. And that's the wildest thing, because it has always confused me that because you like a certain sports team, you hate people who like the other team. And it's very tribal. It goes back to like our roots as human beings. I understand it. I am a Red Sox fan. I grew up in New England, so the Red Sox is what we did. And it's like, you hate the Yankees. And I've legitimately seen some horrible things done to and from Yankees and Red Sox players and fans to each other for the sole fact of where they live and the team that they're rooting for. And when it goes to landscaping, I've heard the same. You know, it's like you can't like those guys because they're the other landscaping company. And whether that's like a mom and pop pop-up or whether that's a established large business, there's no like discrimination between who you cannot like because they're not you. So you're always going to see me sitting here wearing Landscaping Unlimited attire because that's who I play for. Like, that's my team. This hat right now, don't judge the hair, I'm growing it out. But I've got the Landscaping Unlimited podcast on my hat, my shirt, the shirt under this shirt. It's also Landscaping Unlimited. And here I am in the shop or the office of Landscaping Unlimited. And so that's where I compete. That's where I call home. That's where I go out and I perform in the world. But there are many other landscaping companies out there who I get along completely fine with. And that's the thing that people don't understand. Are they competition? If you had to boil it down, for sure. Everybody's in competition. We're all competing. But do you have to try to undermine or do you have to hate your competition? Absolutely not. I think that's ridiculous. The proposition itself is entirely missing the mark, that the goal is for the industry to win, and there are plenty of properties for everybody to win. And so the goal is not to go out and like try to hate your competition or sabotage their efforts, but rather to just go and win and do your absolute best, network properly, serve your clients well, and you can network with those other landscapers and get along with them. And recently I had a conversation with a gentleman who worked for another landscaping company. And he was talking about whenever he sees our trucks, he feels a little bit better because he knows how our guys operate and we get along with them. And so if they're taking care of a property and we're on the other property, and let's say they miss a mark, like they're off by about 6 inches, our guys aren't gonna draw the line and let those 6 inches that strip be stuck on the other property because that's not the one we maintain. Our guys will go over and they'll take care of it. In the same way that those guys will go and they'll take care of our side. If they know it's a little more convenient to just do a little bit more on the neighbor's property, knowing that we're on that end, they'll do that. They're not going out of their way to sabotage us. But in that same conversation, we had a discussion where both of us had examples where we worked with other companies who legitimately went out of their way to try to mess with us. They tried throwing things onto our property. They tried blowing things onto our property to make it look like we didn't take care of it. And like those little shady things, they do exist for sure. But the goal is the goal is to never be that person. 2, those types of companies, the companies that don't do right and have integrity by their clients, by how they interact with others, they won't be in business long. That is something that I think every blue collar worker understands. If you're a shady individual, that stuff catches up with you, it will crash and burn you into the ground. And so you don't want to be that guy. You want to be the landscaper who looks out for his fellow landscaper. Like, the job is hard enough. We don't have to go out of our way to make it more complicated for one another. And so when you guys see the different trucks out there, the different companies, there's not like low-key a war going on in your neighborhood. There's not a war going on around you, but there is definitely a product being provided, and the goal is to be the one providing the best product. And so for Landscaping Unlimited, this company's been in business since 1989. That's a long time. It's also a long time for someone to be able to go and ruin the reputation of the company. And that hasn't happened yet because we're very particular on it. Shay, especially as the head of the company who took over for his father, He is the one who has to embody the message of what Landscaping Unlimited is, because, you know, they say heavy is the head that wears the crown. It's true. Shay has to set that standard, and that trickles down through the rest of the company. And so if you're getting quality service, understand that is because that is what our foundation of our company is set on. We have to provide a quality service to our clients. And so you're gonna choose your landscaper based on price, reputation, and just what they're able to do, you know, products provided. Some landscaping companies don't work during the winter. We do. Some landscaping companies don't do hardscapes. We do. I can't think of anything right now. I was trying to as I was talking. But there are probably things that other landscaping companies are more suited to go and do than we are. And so you're better off going with them. And so there's no fear here. We live with abundance. We know that the clients are out there. We know that we serve them well. And so when we see another company, we're like high-fiving, like, go get it. When it's the teens, when it's the upstart, you know, one-man show, we're rooting for you, man. Like, we want you to win in the same way that we hope you want us to win. Just because we're a larger company than that one-man shop, so we're still doing the same thing. The job itself is hard enough. This industry is big enough for everybody. And so we should all just be focused on winning. So I wanted to address that myth that like landscapers hate other landscapers. We certainly don't. Or if they do, we don't here at Landscaping Unlimited. I see the trucks, I'm like, cool, go get it. There are certain ones doing certain jobs that I'm like, man, I wish we got that job, because they're just a cool job to go and do. But I'm not like, man, I hate that they got the job, because why am I gonna bring that negativity to my life? That's not how I roll. And so when I look at it, I'm rooting for all landscapers out there. There is plenty of room for all of us. And if you're small-minded, you're trying to sabotage the efforts of others, like that will get you. Like that is the worst mindset to have, because you're not supposed to be like tying an anchor to people and trying to get them to sink. You're supposed to be like the rising tide. Like your company does so well and it can stand on its own merit that it just lifts everybody else around it. And the goal is if all landscapers are credentialed, licensed, and properly serving their clients, then there's just a bunch of great places for you to go, and you kind of just pick and choose based off maybe personality, or it might come down to price. Some can do it cheaper because the materials they have on hand, others can do it cheaper because the equipment they have on hand, or certain jobs can just be priced out a certain way because they found a way to do it more efficiently. You know, sometimes we're the best price, sometimes we're not, and that's okay. We always show the client, here's why we are what we are. It's honest, it's out there, and this is the cost. And so you either pay that or you don't, and that's cool. In the same way, you might go to Target, or you might go to Walmart, you might go to Aldi's, or you might go to Publix. You have options, so you go and do those things. Is Aldi's competing with Publix? Yes. Does Aldi's hate Publix? No. Their business owners are just running their businesses. Their workers are just working. They're just trying to go and succeed and provide the best with where they're at. Landscaping is no different. You know, you're not gonna go into Walmart and be like, I don't like that you priced this shirt at $20. I think it should be $10. You're not gonna do that. So why would you go to landscaping and be like, I don't like that you priced this at $400. It should be $200. Do you think we're just making up numbers? And that's for any landscaper. That's not just us. I'm speaking from first person because this is the world I operate in. But I've heard other landscapers say the customer thinks everybody's trying to gouge them. Everybody's trying to price increase and, you know, just make fat profits, and that's not the case. And when you see it broken down, you got to understand, like at some point, this is a profession, and the reason you'll pay someone to do it is because there are professionals who are educated and experienced in doing this who can go and do it, allowing you, a professional in your world, to go out and do what it is you do. If I only did photography, I wouldn't want to be spending hours working on my lawn. I'd want to be working on my photography or marketing my photography or growing my photography, and not just sitting there mowing my lawn or weeding my lawn or trying to build a patio or something like that. Those are cool things to do, but if my focus is on growing that business, then I don't have the time to dedicate to these other things. So what do? The money I make from my business, I put it into another business. For that business to go and take care of the things that allow me the freedom to go and take care of what I want to take care of. And there are times where we have recommended other landscapers. We've recommended other companies, and other companies have recommended us, because landscapers are looking out for landscapers. And so I wanted to address that and make sure we got it knocked out to where you understand landscaping itself is a large industry. Landscaping, as the individuals, the landscapers themselves, we get along pretty well because we all kind of understand each other's world. It's like the military. If you haven't been in it, you don't get it. It's just like you can explain it, you can talk about it, you can try to like get people to see and understand where you're coming from and what you're all about. But in the military, if you've not served, you just don't understand. And landscaping is the same. If you've not worked out in the elements, you've not worked a blue collar job like this, you don't get it. And that's okay. You can understand the theory behind it, but it's the experience that makes all the difference. And so for landscapers, we have the experience. And when we see another landscaper, we know, especially here coming up, how that heat's gonna feel. You know, what it's like finding all those fire ants everywhere. Working out in the rain or the cold, like right now it's freezing and it's windy. A lot of the guys are out at the country club and that breeze hasn't stopped since we've been there. And it's miserable. And we're happily shoveling and doing our job. And the people who get it are the other people out there in the cold shoveling and doing their job. And so landscapers, bro, I see you guys, I'm rooting for you. I hope you guys are rooting for us because the green industry is large and we're looking to win in it with you, not against you. So let's just have a bunch of large companies winning, succeeding. Their health is locked in, their wealth is locked in, they're growing and they're serving their community. So all of our communities and all these towns, all our neighbors, everybody can have a high-end, premium-looking property that just makes everybody else happier. Like, you can't not be happy when you see a bunch of great properties around you. So, cool. Let us continue to serve you, and then you can continue to shop around and find the best company to do that. But we're gonna win no matter what, and we're gonna hope our fellow landscapers do as well. And that brings us to the second part, which is how to handle failure or what to do when you miss the mark. And we had an incident come up recently where Shay and I had to face the fact that we let a client down. You know, we missed the mark with one of our customers. And so we had to go, we made it right. We immediately accepted our failure, but it wasn't the best conversation in the world. It made me feel sick to my stomach. And it was one of those things where you just ran out of time, you know, and this is gonna happen to a lot. And people don't like to talk about it because they're gonna say, why would you have a podcast where you're talking about a time you failed? Like, don't you think that's gonna make you look bad? I really don't. I think it's gonna make us, me being on screen right now, you know, I think it's gonna make us look human. And I hope it comes across in a way where you understand recognizing failure doesn't make you a failure. And because you missed the mark on one doesn't mean you're gonna miss it all, you know, every single time after this. Oftentimes, as has been the case in my life, when I fail at something, I hate that. It sticks with me. I think about that when I'm sleeping. I think about it throughout the week. Like, it randomly just pops in my head. And I think many performers and people in business will relate to this story where you can go out and you can help and win and get 55-star reviews. But when you fail and you let someone down and there's that 1 star that comes in and they're like, they weren't where I needed them to be, or they didn't do it the way I needed it, or whatever happened, you know, like, I'm not gonna go into what happened with us, but just broadly speaking, each of these things will happen across the course of somebody's lifetime. Your retaining wall doesn't stand up on its own merit. A patio doesn't do what you think it's supposed to do. Water collects where it shouldn't collect. Things happen. And sometimes it's just unforeseen. Like, it didn't work the way you thought it would work. And sometimes that happens, and that's okay. But when it happens, that's the one that you think about. You know, I spend a lot more time on the things that I missed than the ones that I made. There are a lot of individuals I have helped in life, and there are some that just slip through the cracks for whatever reason. And like, those are the ones that stick with you. It's not the ones that made it and that are crushing it and doing great. It's not those amazing properties that are like fantastic and you know you did a great job. It's the ones where you missed it. You hang on to that because you learn a little bit more from that. It's like watching a fire and getting heat from a fire. You appreciate that, but you're not gonna forget the time the fire burned you. The time that you got burned by the fire, that sticks with you. That's a hard-learned lesson. And so I can tell you right now, I've been a part of thousands of fires. I've been burned maybe 5 times, like bad, and those 5 times stick out to me. It's like, don't touch that, don't do that again, don't do that again, because last time I did that, that jacked me up. That is not fun. And the same goes with our clients. When that hits, it's like, man, when you actually care about your profession, when you care about what it is you do, you care about the people that you serve, like, failing sucks. And it's like a punch in the gut, and you're like, damn it, like, they deserve better, and I deserve to be better. Like, I'm trying to be the best. And we always say that this is a people company. And so when you fail the people, it's like, you've got to look at yourself and say, how did that happen? And that's what we did. Shay and I went back to the drawing board and we reverse engineered everything. How did this happen? Okay, it's because of this, 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 and this. How do we make sure that those 4 things don't happen again? And so we sat down and we went through it and like, all right, this can't happen again because we're doing this now. We're changing our policy a little bit. That can't happen again because now we've done this. And so that control that's in place now will prevent that from ever slipping through the cracks. We had to learn that lesson. We had to learn that hard lesson given to us by a client who I do want to take a side note to say, handled it as professionally and kindly and with as much passion as a person could possibly do so. And so they handled it and they spoke to us. There was no disrespect. There was no anger. It was just a blunt, direct acknowledgement that, hey, the mark was missed here. And so I want you to know. And we learned, we appreciated it, we touched base, we made it right. And Shay said something that really stood out to me, and I'm going to share it with you because I think everybody should be aware of this. He said, I want to make it right because when I see you in public, I want to be able to keep my head high. And I was like, dang, that was profound. Shay's a poet. You guys just don't know it. And I'm not trying to rhyme there. But you're going to get to hear more and more from this man because when he said like those little things like that, that's why I really want him on the podcast. That's why I really want to be having these conversations in public so you can hear from him as he recognizes these things and he learns these things and he shares with me and he shares with everybody like, hey, I need to make it right because when I see you in public, I want to keep my head high. What does that mean? It means if you fail a customer and you don't fix it or you blame somebody else or you try to like avoid it, well, when you see them in the store, you can't say hello. You can't go shake their hand. You got to hide your head. You got to duck and like move because they're like, hey, bro, you bailed on me. You ditched, the project or whatever you're supposed to do and you haven't responded to me at all. Like, that's not how we operate at Landscaping Unlimited. We make it right. And so Shay made it right. And so now when we do see that client, hey, sir, how you doing? It's great to see you. How are things going along, like, with the project, with whoever took it over? Like, how's that going? Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. It's okay to make the mistake if you fix it. It's okay to genuinely just make a mistake as a human being because that's a part of the process. And as a business, if you're not learning from the mistakes, you're going to fail. And so you can't just pretend you don't make them. I don't know how many people would have a podcast like this. I own mistakes and Shay's the same way. That's why I have no problem making this podcast without him being a part of it because I know we've already had the discussion where we're like, this is where we stand on it. We own it. This is who we are. And if you know that, oh, Landscaping Unlimited, this happened. Yeah. And we fixed it. How many other companies are going to come out and talk to you about that? How many people will be vulnerable enough and honest enough for you to see the real individuals that are running the business that aren't perfect, that when they slip, they can let you know like, hey, I fell, but I got back up. And we got back up. We made it right. We're going out and that's not going to happen again, but we did fall. And so for all the other business owners out there who might be trying to like hide those things or kind of bowing your head, you're like, man, I'm not doing too well. You made a mistake, but you're not a mistake. You might have failed a client, but that doesn't mean your company is a failure. And that's something you've got to understand, you've got to own. You are not a failure unless you choose to allow that failure to define you. In the same way that people say, it's not about getting knocked down 8 times, it's about getting up 9. You have to get back up and you've got to do it right. And you've got to square it away. Honor, integrity, these things matter. Honesty, these things matter quite a bit. And so yes, when you make a mistake, that's how you handle failure. You embrace it. You don't run from it. You make it a part of who you are. And you let people know, like, I made this mistake. I fell, but I got back up. And here's why I'm a better person because of it. I learned from it. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. And so looking at that, I hope you guys understand, we strive for excellence in everything that we do. We strive to set the bar from which all other hardscape and landscape companies are measured. We want to be the absolute best. Going back to competition, we want all landscapers to win, but we want to be the very best. We want to be the best landscaper that you hire, the best hardscaper you hire, and that's not just the job. We want the best experience, the best invoice, the best communication. We want to be the best at all of that, and that requires us to step up every single day and push the needle forward and to be better at all that we do. And when you're chasing something so high, when you're looking at the top of the tallest mountain, sometimes you fall during that climb. We have fallen during that climb, but we picked ourselves up and we've used that as fuel to go out and be better people. We don't just disregard it. We don't ignore it. We don't say, we'll find a new client. It's not about that. We serve that client. We make it right even when the issues are out of our control, we will make it right. Sometimes it is in our control. Sometimes we make the mistake. Sometimes it's like, we didn't see this weather forecast of a week worth of rain when we first scheduled saying we'd probably get it done in this timeline. Like our timeline gets bumped 2 weeks. That was out of our control. But you know what? If you're not happy about it or if you don't want to continue with us, we understand. And you know what? We'll make it right. And we do. Because our goal is to serve our client to the best that we can. And that is a part of being the best landscaper and being the best hardscaper. It's being the best man and individual you can be in that other person's life as you exchange money for services. The money most people have is from time dedicated of their life to their job. So they are paid for what they created out in the world. And that money is given to us, which means the time of their life is being given to us. We honor that and we protect that. And we try to constantly serve that as best as we can. And so when we fail, we learn from it, we go forward, we make it right, but we don't let it slow us down. We just use it as fuel to go out and be better individuals. And so if you're not failing, I would say that you're not trying hard enough. But at the same time, sometimes you're failing because you're trying so hard that you didn't recognize there was a gap in the system. And then when that's exposed, you have a choice to either ignore it and go on, or as what we've chosen to do, we fill the gap, and then we go back in the mission. And so landscapers helping landscapers, coming back from failure. It's great to be talking to you guys on this episode of the Landscaping Podcast. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you have a great day. And just, when you're looking at those landscapers out there, understand they're not at war with each other. And also understand nobody's perfect. You look at the social media highlight reels of people's lives or businesses' lives, they make mistakes. You go in any company, go to Target, go to Walmart, go to any of them. You're going to see amazing things they're doing in the community. I promise you, they've failed 1,000 times that week. Never mind just, the month of the year. Just that week alone, there's probably 1,000 failures, but they're not going to put that out there. Us, we're going to put it out when we miss the mark because we want you to know that we're trying, we're striving, we're doing our best, and when we fall down, we get back up. The only way to know that a company gets back up and they do right by their clients when they fail is for that company to say, hey, we have failed, but we've made it right. We always will, and that's who we are. So again, thank you for tuning in. I hope you subscribe to all the platforms, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Landscaping Podcast.